This AskReddit user asks, people who have been bitten by uncommon animals, what bit you? How badly did it hurt? I've never really been bitten by anything noteworthy, but I got headbutted by a giraffe once. Those things are mean. Stupid long-necked horses. It's just long horse bro. I was once bit by a Venus flytrap at my mom's friend's place when I was 3. It didn't hurt, but it felt really weird. A small monkey in the zoo. I was dumb and touched his tail. He turned, grabbed my hand and bit my finger. I got bit by a mini pony once. It was looking at me from its pen with this pitiful look in its eye. I went to pet it on its head and give it one of those shush shush ashish shushes, and one of those you're a good mini pony type of shushes, and wham, that little FR bit me right in the goddamn rib meat. It didn't break skin, but it successfully bruised me and crushed my soul in one territorial snap. To this day, IFG hate horses. Liar. Lil Sebastian would never do that. A ladybug. Since that day my fear of bugs multiplied. It wasn't the common ladybug, but the one called harlequin ladybird. I hate those things. It didn't hurt. It was more like a pinch on my finger and it wouldn't let go. I was traumatized by one of these as a small child. Tiny charlatans. Been bitten by an ostrich. Not feeding fast enough. A horse. A copperhead. And a turkey. Copperhead got me on toe. Swelled up x3. Very painful muscle spasms. Praying mantis. I bred those and it was feeding time. It mistook my finger for a mealworm somehow. She caught it, and I thought she would let go after realizing the mistake. No, she did not. She started biting my finger. Thinking she would notice it tastes nothing like a mealworm, she would let go. No, she did not. So I let her bite until it started hurting and forcefully pulled back my hand. She was unharmed, just shocked from surprise, and saw a little hole in my finger about the size of a pinhead. Never happened before or after. Just this one time. This is somehow kind of cute. Yeah, it did feel cute. Getting bitten by an animal you raised from when it was just out of the egg. Look, Dad. I got big and strong. Then I felt it was getting through my skin, and cute felt like a long time ago. When you bred them, do you roll them in egg first or something else? I mean, otherwise the breading doesn't stick so good. I'm guessing you fry them up then. I was bitten by a hedgehog that my dog dug out of hibernation during winter one year. I was following the instructions of a wildlife expert that I called when I found the hedgehog and giving it an oil bath to help with its dry skin, and it was sniffing my hand and suddenly jumped at me and dug its tiny needle teeth into my palm. The bite itself hurt a fair bit, but what was worse that it didn't want to let go. Had to go into the hospital later to get some shots to make sure I didn't catch anything. But that hedgehog was an angel, and I ended up realizing it after the winter. Hope the little buddy is doing good. As a fun comparison, it hurt AHL of a lot less than when I got bitten by a guinea pig. This is the first thing I thought of. When I was younger I had a pet hedgehog who was a mean little FR. They have sharp teeth. Bite hard. Twist. Tug and don't let go. Worst pet I ever had. Man. Sonic did not like you. I love that cockroach dancing. I got bit by a baby emu in a pen at a farmer's market. My finger hurt a little, my ego hurt more. I got bit by a tropical fish. I don't imagine a ton of people have done that. I was about 9 years old on a family trip in Cuba and we went snorkeling. One of the guides told us that the fish really enjoy fruit and bananas, so my mom did just that and gave me one to hold in the water. At first it was neat seeing a couple nibbles on the banana, but quickly became a swarm all going for the treat. In the chuas one fish missed and got the flesh of my hand by my thumb. It wasn't all that painful but very surprising and made me throw the banana a good distance away. Definitely one of the more unique injuries I have ever had. Not me. But once a moose bit my sister. No really. Mind you. Moose bites can be pretty nasty. Bites. Dragonfly and praying mantis both hurt a fair amount more than I expected. Ball python didn't really hurt at all and barely broke the skin. I used to work in an aquarium. So I've been bitten by some pretty unusual critters. I got 4 shark bites there. They were little sharks and mostly bottom-feeding types. So the bite was like a series of tiny cuts on my fingers. Those actually didn't hurt that bad. I got tagged by a water snake. Its teeth were really tiny. So I had this ring of little punctures around my hand. Didn't really hurt at all. But it itched for a few days pretty bad. Not a bite. But I got scratched by an iguana. I didn't think anything of it. But the next morning my hand and forearm were purple. Went to see a doctor who told me there wasn't time to do any tests if I wanted to save my hand. Put me on 5 different kinds of antibiotics and sent me home. Still have the hand, by the way. A baby alligator got my finger once. It was still really small though. So it was like getting your hand caught in a stapler. It hurt pretty bad. But only for a few minutes and healed really quickly. The worst bite I got there was from something I would have never expected. I was feeding a cowfish and it grabbed my fingertip. It didn't really have teeth like we would normally consider teeth. Instead, it had a bunch of super rough bony protrusions that it used to grind food together. Little dude scraped off a bunch of skin with that bite. It was more similar to getting road rash or really bad rug burn than an actual bite. It didn't bleed very much. But my hand hurt for about 2 weeks until all the skin could grow back. I've been bitten by a turtle on the set of our high school media class's music video for Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. Bled slightly. Hurt a little but not too bad. Made for a great story. My grandma and aunt got bitten by a monkey in the early 60s when living in Zimbabwe. Was Rhodesia at the time. They had to be aware of the possibility of contracting rabies. And my grandma said that every morning she would look in the mirror because she was paranoid that she would get it. Edit. The turtle bit me because he thought my finger was food. No malice intent. Just a hungry turtle. I don't know why. But when I asked this question I was really hoping someone who had been bitten by a turtle would respond. So thank you. I have pet turtles. They don't mean to bite me, but sometimes if I don't use tongs to give them treats they'll get my finger instead. They're both 7-8 turtles, but I used to have one as big as dinner plate. She was DN near 11 inches and she was not a friendly turtle. She bit quite often and would always go for the least meaty part of you. Grab you hard enough to give a blood blister. Her little triangle mouth hurt like PS. She wouldn't let go right away either, so you'd be standing there with this giant turtle hanging onto you and you're just going, leet goo, because what are you going to do? Pull. You can't pry her mouth open. Could hurt her. You just have to wait until she gets bored of biting you. I have a few box turtles that live outside. They've never bitten me. But I'm always scared one will. When I was a kid, I saw a demonstration of a snapping turtle biting something and remember being told that they can snap your bones in half. Scared the HL out of me. Baby gator. My uncle had just gotten it and was encouraging me to pet it. I didn't want to, so he brought it closer and it bit my hand. I still can't bend my right index finger. Holy CP. Even a baby gator's teeth can take off fingers. Yeah. My mom damn near killed my uncle, whom I loved dearly, but when he was drunk. He was stupid. Maybe not bitten, but I've been stung by a scorpion. I freaked me out since scorpions are pretty scary looking creatures. But it only really hurt as bad as a bee sting. I got bitten by a shrew once. Technically they have a venomous bite. It just shocked me and impulsively I slung him across the yard off of my finger. Oh no, poor triangular-shaped mousy. A duck bit me once and it didn't hurt at all. Scared me a bit because I was about 9 or so. I'm not sure if that is what you mean by uncommon. A miniature pony bit me once. I had just eaten dinner and I guess my little fingers smelled and looked like food. Once it realized I wasn't edible, it let me go. It didn't hurt much. I doubt he was biting with full force. It's a common animal but fairly uncommon to get bit by. The strangest one for me was getting bit by a bat when I was probably 8 years old. It turned out to have rabies. I had to get shots for 2 months after. And they were not fun. Reddit has really drilled it into my skull that bats have rabies and to be careful. I've heard the rabies shots are very painful. Yeah. The bite was nothing more than a hamster bite. The shots though. The initial one that they gave me. Let's just say it made sitting down a bit unpleasant. Same here. Those shots sucked. A priest and I were walking along a cobblestone path in the abbey. He pointed at this thing wedged between the stones. Neither of us knew what it was. I nudged it and he woke up and bit me. Wildlife officer came to hospital to take report and told us they found the bat dead. Apparently, bats will appear to sun themselves on their deathbed. My gerbil bit me on the finger when I was like 10. That part probably isn't that uncommon. And it hurt for a minute mostly because he broke through a fingernail. However, at the time I was on heart medicine for an arrhythmia. The gerbil started seizing an hour or so later and died like 2 minutes after that. I definitely unintentionally poisoned him with my medicated blood that he ingested. Are you a poison dart frog? Not to my knowledge. Surprise. I got bit by a gecko. It hurt and bled more than I expected. IDK if a ferret counts as uncommon. But when I was about 5 or 6 I was walking through a park with my mom when someone's leashed ferret came up to me and bit my foot. I was wearing sandals. It didn't hurt too bad from what I remember. But my mom was PD and we cleaned it out really well once we got home. Ferrets are indeed bitey. My college roommate had one that used to scurry around the house sometimes. Super cute thing. One day he stole my pack of cigarettes. I reached out to grab it back and he bit the ST out of me. Not bitten but attacked by a red-tailed hawk. Inside of a car. These needs more details. How did a hawk get in your car? When I was a baby I got bit by a centipede. Scolopendra. In my crib. It was a pretty big deal since Scolopendra bites in a tropical place such as Guadeloupe can be really dangerous. Especially for a kid. Obviously. I survived. But my parents have been really watching out for these. Not so little FS ever since. Pro tip if you don't want this happening to your kid. Put a bowl filled with water under each foot of the crib. That way no insect will be able to climb near your offspring. When I was in high school this kid got bitten by a brown recluse spider. He was gone for a few days and when he came back he had to walk around with an IV thing pumping medicine into his blood. This was on Vancouver Island, Canada. He still had to go to school? That's a crock of ST. You'd think it qualifies for a few days at home playing Xbox or something. We were trying in vain to get my 3-year-old to stop sucking her thumb. Then she tried to catch a chipmunk in the garage and was bitten. Animal control tested it and there was no rabies, thank God. But we took her to the doc to see if she needed a tetanus booster or anything. Turns out it was her thumb-sucking thumb. So while the doc was bandaging it, I said, gosh, she'll have to keep it wrapped up for 2 weeks, right? Wink wink. He agreed with me. We kept it wrapped for 2 weeks and no more thumb-sucking. Rattlesnake. It felt like a very intense burning sensation. When I was about 12 I went to this drive-through safari with my family. My grandma gave me some crackers to crush up in my hand and let an ostrich, emu. I'm not too sure how to tell the difference. Eat it out of my palm. He went straight for my thumb and I remember it not hurting too much but it scared me to the point of tears and dropping cracker pieces everywhere. Similar story. A few years ago, my family was on a safari in Africa. And my cousin, Mufasa, was trampled to death by a pack of wildebeests. And we all took it really hard. All of us. Kind of in the audience of what happened. That sounds like this time I was trying to throw a party. And everyone was over for the weekend. And then my Uncle Bernie died. And so me and my best friend had to pretend like he was still alive. That sounds awful, man. Did his son at least avenge his death after a long harrowing journey of self-discovery? Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.